was my right foot that that broke. So I got my license in March, and broke my foot in like May. So I was driving for 2 months, and they got it snatched away from me. So that was pretty horrible. So during that time, reading and trying to piece together programs, and I heard all sorts of people on BodyBuilder.com talking about Mark Ripto's starting strength and just using compound movements and all this. So I decided to piece together a program and based on everything that I was reading, write one of my own. And I remember before I got out of my cast, I went to the JCC gym a couple times, and people would look at me like, "What are you doing? You have a cast on?" I'm like, "Yes, so." And all these people were saying things like, "Oh man, if I had a broken foot, I would have just made any excuse taken it as an excuse to sit on the couch and eat ice cream," and that made me feel good about myself. So I had that program ready, and because I was waiting to get my cast off, I didn't want to start this thing without getting the cast off, because I was going to start doing squats and deadlifts for the first time. So I was getting more and more amped. Only men can do squats and deadlifts. Squatting and deadlifting is a squat could be, I guess it's only a double. It could kind of be considered a triple joint movement, in which the hips, the knees, and the ankles kind of are involved. And the same goes for deadlift. And they allow you to move a maximum amount of weight and recruit the most muscle for a single exercise. So they could be deemed like the biggest exercises. And they just have a very positive history in building massive people. And there also may be something about hormonal effects of loading the spine and just having crushing weight, being supported by your back or your hands. So only real men do squats and deadlifts. So I finally I didn't even get the cast removed. I was getting fed up with it and had begun peeling layers around my knee away and around my toe, and because my foot was well enough where I could walk with the cast. It was just the fact that I had a cast on. It had worn a bit, on the heel, so I tried to pull as much of it away as I could, and I think this was the third cast I'd ever had, with the first on my leg, and they put it on pretty well. It was either triple or double layered or something. But I worked at it, and once it began getting thinner, to a point where I couldn't pull off any more layers, I would I think I started hitting it with something to break it in, and then I would knead it with my hands and just pump it as if you were taking a piece of metal and bending it until it snaps. And I broke it apart. And I had the previous Christmas, I'd gotten so into this stuff that I'd asked for this $100 Tanita body comp analysis scale. Measures your body fat and your water and all this stuff. And when I got the cast off, it was 5 weeks in, and I had 6 weeks to go, total. So I had 1 week left, And so I took the cast off. I was like, all right, enough of this. And I walked and I like almost like fell over because my calf had just been completely inactive. It was like withered as well. So I walked over to the bathroom and I took my scale with me and measured myself and had that as like a starting weight. I think I started going to the gym like 6 times a week, I think, doing this really heavy program. It was like, I think it was like 3 days on and then a day off. So it was like a 4-day cycle where it's just like 3 on and 1 off. Because I'd never done this kind of thing before, and I was even just learning some of the exercises, I wasn't able to push the weights as like the numbers, the loads, the poundages up as quickly. So that was good because it allowed me to do a little bit more. I remember the first time I deadlifted, started lifting, like 135 or whatever. I remember feeling a pinch, like in my lower abdomen, and I thought it was my boxers pinching the hair and like pulling at it because it was like kind of like a sharp pinch on the skin, and so I was like, what? And I adjusted my pants to like below where I felt the pinch, and I did it again. I still felt it. I was like, this is probably a hernia. So, I'd only been trying to like learn these exercises from what I'd read online and what I'd watched in terms of videos or whatever. So I was like, all right, well, this is obviously not right. I'm doing something wrong. So I probably just tried a bunch of different ways until I came up with something that kind of worked. So I'd bench, and I'd squat, and I'd deadlift, and I'd military press, and I'd do dips, and I'd do pull-ups and chin-ups, and just try to get the weight to increase all the time. And so I did that more and more, and my diet was unbelievably strict. And I remember like 6 months went by or something, and I'd made some okay gains, but I looked at myself and I was like, I put in a whole hell of a lot of work, and this is all I get. So I thought it was kind of garbage, and I decided that it would probably be best to put in less effort and find the sweet spot where I'm putting in the most effort to get the most return, so as to not put in more effort and start getting diminishing returns. So that was a process that, I've still been working on, and I probably will never stop. And then, so then I had to go to college, and I had to make a choice of schools, and I didn't really care too much about the college decision. I didn't take it very seriously because I didn't know what I wanted from a college. And I was choosing between Temple and UArts. And if you went to UArts, you had to live in the dorms freshman year, from what I understand. And the dorms had kitchenettes. And at any other school, like, they don't have kitchens. And not only that, you're not even allowed to have like George Foreman grills like anymore, at least back then. So it's just like the microwave. And knowing what my sister's room was like her freshman year of college, and knowing the kind of crap that she like had to eat and did eat, I went to UArts pretty much solely for the kitchen, because I was horribly afraid that I would have to like quit the bodybuilding, or put other things ahead of bodybuilding. Blasphemy. So the kitchen was good, and I was able to cook as I would when I was at home, and I trained for like that whole year, like only gaining like a little bit of weight, and Um, I kind of like trained for soreness, and that's how I remember that year. I trained for soreness basically, and I was always sore. I didn't make a whole lot of gains, just kind of marginal gains that one would make over a year's time of squatting. I also hurt my back that year with this leg press at the gym. That it's the back plate or the back rest is like curved, just completely encouraging the curvature of your spine to keep it from being straight. So for a long time I couldn't squat or deadlift, like several months. But then I started wising up, and that next summer I think was a big turning point in which I did this program called Strip Down Hypertrophy, which was the most insane thing I've ever even seen to this day, in which you squat, you basically do every lift in either a 4x10 or 5x5 rep range. So legitimately the heaviest weights that you can use, 5 days a week. Every single day that you're training, you're doing these lifts. So your body gets no chance to recover. And so I did this for probably 6 weeks. I may have cut it back to 5 or something, because I was trying to dig myself out of a grave because it was so bad. But my strength blew up very quickly all of a sudden, and I didn't make it a point to eat a ton, but I did eat more, and I just noticed very sudden gain. So I began to realize that this whole time, this whole eat until you want to die thing was pretty much true. I didn't feel ready. I wanted to be bigger before I did my first competition. And at the gym that I started going to in Philly, due to coming to Philly for school, there were a lot of bodybuilders there. There's one who had won the Mr. Natural Philadelphia the previous year that I had come in, the year previous to the one that I'd come in, and there was a pro natural bodybuilder in, I think, the IFPA and maybe possibly the NPC or NGA. I don't even know. But my man's big. He's like 5'6" or 5'7", and he's like 185 on stage. So it's pretty legit. And so these were the first guys who I'd really seen who were actually in it. And they encouraged me to do it. And prior to that, the first gym that I'd been to, the JCC, nobody there actually really did anything. And the next gym that I went to that I was only at for 3 months, there was a woman who was a figure competitor, and she apparently was friends with Ronnie Coleman's girlfriend. And then there was this other girl who walked in one time with a back as big as mine and was